My name is Sarah. I am 32 years old, and I spent the first 30 years of my life trying to become visible to a man who had decided long ago that I did not matter. I was 7 years old the first time I understood that my brother and I lived in different families. It was Christmas morning. I remember the smell of pine from the tree and the way the lights blinked red and green across the living room carpet. Tyler was 10. He tore through his presents like a storm. A new bike, the expensive one from the store downtown, a gaming system, clothes with the tags still attached from the department store my mother said we could not afford. I got a sweater. One sweater. From the clearance rack at the discount store. I recognized the sticker residue on the tag. When I asked my dad why Tyler got so many presents, he ruffled my hair and said, "Your brother is older. He needs more things. You will understand when you are bigger." I told myself it was true. I told myself age mattered. I told myself next year would be different. I did not know yet that next year would be exactly the same, and the year after that, and every year that followed. By the time I was 15, I had learned not to expect things. I had also learned to work. My first job was at a coffee shop downtown, 4 shifts a week after school. I made $7.25 an hour. I bought my own clothes, my own school supplies, my own lunch when the cafeteria prices went up. Tyler was 18. He drove the car my dad bought him for his birthday, a used sedan, nothing fancy, but it was his. He had spending money every weekend. He never worked a day in high school. When I asked my dad if I could get help buying a laptop for school, he looked at me like I had asked for the moon. "You are the responsible one," he said. "You always figure things out. Your brother needs more support right now. He is applying to colleges." I bought the laptop myself. It took me 4 months of saving. It was refurbished and the screen had a dead pixel in the corner, but it was mine. Tyler got into college, a state school 2 hours away. My dad paid for everything. Tuition, room and board, meal plan, spending money. He drove Tyler to campus himself, helped him move into the dorm, took him out to dinner to celebrate. I was 17. I asked if there would be money for my college, too. My dad sat me down at the kitchen table and explained that Tyler was studying business. That was an investment. I was talking about becoming a teacher. That was noble, he said, but not practical. The family could not afford both of us. "You understand, right?" he said. "You have always been the practical one." I understood. I understood that practical meant disposable. I understood that responsible meant I could be relied on to accept less. I understood that my brother's dreams had value and mine had price tags. I went to community college, paid for it myself with loans and the coffee shop job and a second job on weekends at a bookstore. I lived at home to save money. I watched Tyler come home on breaks with stories about parties and friends and freedom while I studied at the kitchen table after closing shifts. The summer I turned 20, my dad came to me with an opportunity. He had started a small business, consulting, helping other small businesses with operations and efficiency. He needed help, someone organized, someone he could trust. "I will pay you," he said. "Not much at first, but we will build this together, you and me." I should have seen it then. The word together. The way he smiled when he said it. The way it felt like finally I was being chosen. I dropped out of college, took the job, told myself I would go back eventually, told myself this was my chance to prove my worth. That was 12 years ago. Have you ever worked for someone who made you feel like every hour was a gift they were giving you? Tell me in the comments, because I need you to understand what came next. I was processing payroll on a Wednesday afternoon when I saw the email. Nothing about that day suggested it would split my life into before and after. The office was quiet. My dad was out meeting a client. I had my coffee going cold beside the keyboard and a playlist humming through my headphones. The email was from a name I did not recognize. Subject line, "Congratulations on the sale." I stared at those words, read them again, clicked open. It was addressed to my father and copied to Tyler. It referenced documents, purchase agreements, transfer of assets. The email assumed I already knew. It thanked my father for his years of service and welcomed Tyler as the new point of contact for the transition. My brain refused to process what I was seeing. I scrolled down, found the attachment, opened it. Sale price, $1,800,000. My hands went cold. My stomach dropped so fast I had to grip the edge of the desk. I read the distribution breakdown, once, twice, 3 times, to Tyler Mitchell, $1,500,000 and operational control, to Sarah Mitchell, $20,000 as severance and appreciation for administrative support. Administrative support, 12 years. 12 years of 60-hour weeks, 12 years of canceled plans and missed holidays, and working through weekends while my brother finished college and then partied his way through his 20s. 12 years of building spreadsheets and landing clients and fixing problems and keeping everything running while my dad traveled and Tyler showed up twice a month to check in. $20,000. I sat there for a long time. The office was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. My vision went blurry at the edges. Then I did what I had always done. I looked for the explanation, the misunderstanding, the part I was missing. Maybe this was a draft. Maybe the numbers were wrong. Maybe my dad was going to talk to me first. I checked the date on the email, sent 4 days ago. 4 days. He had known for 4 days and said nothing. I pulled up the shared drive, found the folder marked Confidential Sale Documents. It was not locked. He had not even bothered to hide it from me. Why would he? I was administrative support. I probably had access because someone needed to file these things eventually. I opened every document, read every page. The business we had built, and it was we, I had the emails to prove it, the client lists I had created, the systems I had designed, was being sold to a firm in the city. My dad would retire with his share. Tyler would transition into a consulting role with the new company, guaranteed salary, benefits, stock options. My name appeared exactly 3 times in 80 pages, twice as Administrative Assistant Sarah Mitchell and once in the severance clause. I thought about calling him, demanding an explanation, but something inside me went very, very still. I picked up my phone, dialed. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Sarah, everything okay?" My voice came out steady. I was surprised by that. I saw the email about the sale. Silence. Then, yes, I was going to talk to you about that. When? Soon, this week. Listen, can we discuss this later? I am in the middle of something. The documents say Tyler is getting $1.5 million. I am getting $20,000. Another pause. Longer this time. "Sarah, this is complicated. There are factors you do not understand." "Explain them to me." He sighed. The kind of sigh that said I was being difficult. "Your brother has been instrumental in the strategic direction of the company. He has the MBA. He has the client relationships. The buyers wanted continuity, and he can provide that. I have worked here for 12 years. Tyler has worked here for 6 months. Tyler has been involved longer than you realize. He has been advising me for years. You handle operations. That is different from leadership." Operations. I had landed our 3 biggest clients. I had designed the entire workflow system. I had trained every employee. But that was operations. "I built this company with you," I said quietly. "You had a job, a good job, and you are getting a generous severance package. $20,000 is nothing to dismiss." There it was, the word that made my blood go cold. Generous. "This is not about the money," I said. "Then what is it about? You told me we were building this together. You told me I was essential. You told me—" "Sarah," his voice sharpened, "you are being emotional. I understand you are disappointed, but this is a business decision. Tyler is family. He is my son. He is the logical choice to carry this forward." I let those words sink in. Tyler is family. He is my son. "What am I?" I asked. "You are my daughter. You know I love you. but you also know you have never been interested in the business side of things. You like the administrative work, the organization. That is fine. That is valuable. But it is not the same as what Tyler brings. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to reach through the phone and make him see me. Instead, I said, I need to go. Sarah, do not make this into something it is not. You have always been the reasonable one. I am counting on you to... I hung up. My hands were shaking now. I stood up, walked to the window, stared out at the parking lot and tried to breathe. He had lied to me for 12 years. Or maybe he had never lied. Maybe I had just been stupid enough to believe that together meant equal. That building something with him meant I was building it for myself, too. I called Lily, my best friend since college, the one person who had watched this whole thing unfold. He did it, I said when she answered. He actually did it. Did what? Sold the company, gave everything to Tyler, gave me $20,000 and called it generous. Silence. Then, Sarah, tell me you are not surprised. I thought, my voice cracked. I thought I mattered. You do matter, just not to him. He has been doing this your whole life. You see that, right? I did see it. Finally. Completely. The Christmas presents. The college money. The car. Every choice he had ever made when it came to me and Tyler. I had told myself it was about age, about gender, about practicality. But it was never about any of that. It was about who he had decided mattered. And I had never been that person. What are you going to do? Lily asked. I looked at my desk, at the filing cabinets full of 12 years of work, at the computer screen still showing those numbers. 1.5 million, 20,000. I do not know yet, I said, but I know I am done accepting this. Something inside me changed in that moment. I cannot describe it any other way. The fear was still there. The hurt was still there. But underneath it, something harder, colder, like steel forming in a furnace. For the first time in my life, I was not thinking about how to make peace. I was thinking about how to make him pay. That night, I did not sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and a notebook, and I started writing down everything. Every client I had landed, every system I had built, every weekend I had worked while Tyler slept off a hangover, every witness who had seen me doing the work he was now getting credit for. I did not know exactly what I would do yet, but I knew one thing. This time, there would be consequences. Have you ever felt that exact shift, from heartbreak to calculation? Tell me in the comments. What was the moment you stopped being sad and started being strategic? I spent the next 3 days doing something I had never done before. I became methodical, cold, strategic. I started with the internet. Forums for family business disputes, articles about employee rights, legal websites I had to read 3 times to understand. I learned words I never thought I would need. Unjust enrichment, which means profiting unfairly from someone else's work. Breach of fiduciary duty, which means betraying a position of trust. Quantum meruit, which means being paid the reasonable value of services rendered. Constructive fraud, which means not technically lying, but creating a false impression for personal gain. What my father had done was not just hurtful, it might actually be illegal. I took notes, printed articles, highlighted sections, and then I made a call I had been too scared to make for days. Law Offices of Victoria Chen. Hi, I need to speak with someone about a business dispute, family business. The appointment was set for Friday afternoon. I took a sick day from work. My dad did not question it. Why would he? I was the reliable one. I never lied. Victoria Chen's office was on the 4th floor of a building downtown. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, sharp suit, kind eyes, the kind of person who had seen this story before. I sat across from her desk and felt like I was betraying my own family just by being there. Generations of "we do not air dirty laundry" echoed in my head. My mother's voice, my grandmother's, every woman who had swallowed injustice and called it peace. But I stayed. I talked. I showed her everything. She read through my documents in silence. Bank statements showing my deposits from the business, emails where clients thanked me by name, performance reviews my dad had written praising my essential contributions, text messages where he had promised me equity when the time was right. When she looked up, her expression was careful, controlled. "What you are describing is not a family disagreement," she said. "It has a legal name. Multiple names, actually." My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against my thighs. She leaned forward. "You have more options than you think, but I need you to understand something. When you push back on this, they will push harder. Your father will not simply accept that he was wrong. He will defend himself. Your brother will defend him. Other family members will get involved. Are you prepared for that?" "I do not know," I said honestly. "Then get prepared. Because once you start this, you cannot take it back. You will need to be stronger than you have ever been." I thought about 12 years of being invisible, 12 years of $20,000 while my brother got $1.5 million, 12 years of "you are the responsible one," which really meant you are the one I can exploit. "Tell me what to do," I said. She pulled out a notepad. "Start documenting everything. Dates, times, witnesses, every conversation from this point forward, every text message, every email. Change your passwords. Back up everything to multiple locations. And do not tell anyone what you are doing. Not friends, not family, not your brother's girlfriend. No one." "What are my actual options? Legally?" "Civil suit for unpaid wages and partnership equity. We would argue you were a de facto partner based on contributions and promises made. We could also pursue a claim for fraud in the inducement, meaning he induced you to work for below-market compensation with promises he never intended to keep. The severance package is insultingly low for 12 years of work. We can fight that." "How long would it take?" "Months. Maybe a year. It will be expensive. It will be painful. But Sarah," she met my eyes, "from what you have shown me, you have a strong case. Stronger than most I see." I left her office with a folder of documents and a list of tasks. My head was spinning. My chest felt tight. But for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Over the next 6 weeks, I became someone I did not recognize. I documented everything, every email I had ever sent, every client contract with my signature on it, every project plan I had created, every employee I had trained. I took screenshots, saved files to 3 different cloud services, made physical copies of the most important documents. I went through the company financials and highlighted every instance where my work had directly generated revenue, client acquisitions, retention rates, efficiency improvements that had saved tens of thousands of dollars. My father used to say money fights make people reckless. He was right about that. What he did not realize was that reckless people leave evidence, and I was collecting all of it. The family found out something was happening during week 4. My Aunt Linda called first. "Your father mentioned you are upset about the sale. Honey, I know it is disappointing, but these things are complicated. Family businesses are always messy." "I am not upset," I said calmly. "I am addressing a legal issue." "Legal?" Her voice pitched up. "Sarah, you cannot sue your own father. Think about what that would do to this family." "I am thinking about what 12 years of exploitation did to me." "Exploitation? He gave you a job when you needed one. He is your father. You owe him." "I owe him nothing," I said. "I earned every dollar he refused to pay me." She called my dad immediately. I know because he called me 10 minutes later. "What is this I hear about lawyers?" His voice was tight, controlled anger. I hired an attorney to review the sale documents. "Sarah, this is ridiculous. You are embarrassing yourself, and me. Do you know what people will think?" "I know what the documents show. That is all that matters." "You are making a mistake. This could get very complicated for you. You do not want to go down this road." There it was, the threat, wrapped in concern, but a threat nonetheless. "I am already on this road," I said. "You put me here." He hung up. After that, the messages came in waves. My Uncle Richard, my mother's sister, Tyler's girlfriend, all with variations of the same message. "Let it go. Think about the family. He is your father. You are tearing everyone apart." I stopped explaining. I stopped justifying. I learned two powerful words that changed everything. I understand. Those words do not mean agreement. They mean, I hear you, and I am not changing my mind. The night before the family meeting, I sat alone in the dark and let myself remember the good parts. The few times my dad had shown up. When I graduated high school and he clapped the loudest. When I landed my first big client and he told me he was proud. The rare moments when I felt seen. I let myself grieve the father I had wanted him to be. The one who would have protected me instead of exploiting me. The one who would have seen 12 years of loyalty and rewarded it instead of dismissing it. Then I thought about that email. 1.5 million to Tyler, 20,000 to me, administrative support, and I knew. I was not doing this because I hated him. I was doing this because I finally loved myself enough to stop letting him hurt me. My phone buzzed, a text from my dad. "Family meeting, Sunday at 4. Just close family. We need to settle this before it gets out of hand." I stared at those words and smiled. He thought he was setting the stage for one more manipulation, one more chance to make me feel small and unreasonable, one more opportunity to protect Tyler and dismiss me. He had no idea I had been waiting for exactly this moment. I texted back, "I will be there." Then I opened my laptop and reviewed my folder one more time. Every document, every number, every piece of evidence. This time, I would not be the quiet one. This time, I would not accept crumbs and call it generosity. This time, he would finally see me. Would you walk into a meeting knowing it was designed to shut you down? Or would you walk in knowing you held every card they did not expect you to have? Tell me in the comments. I paused at my parents' front door, took a breath, felt the folder in my bag like a loaded weapon. The leather strap pressed against my shoulder, heavier than it should have been for just paper. Then I stepped inside. The dining room smelled like my mother's pot roast. She always cooked when she was nervous. The good china was out, like this was a celebration instead of an ambush. My dad sat at the head of the table, Tyler to his right. My mother hovered near the kitchen doorway. Uncle Richard, my dad's brother and longtime business advisor, stood near the window. And there, in the corner, a man I did not recognize in a suit. Another lawyer. Of course. I counted them silently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of people for a small family meeting. My dad smiled, the warm, paternal smile I had seen him use on difficult clients. "Sarah, thank you for coming. Please sit." I sat across from Tyler, set my bag on the floor beside my chair, folded my hands on the table. "I know this has been a difficult time," my dad began. His voice was measured, reasonable. "Change is always hard, but I wanted us to come together as a family and clear the air before this gets out of hand." He had already framed it. The problem was not what he had done. The problem was my reaction to it. The problem was me making things difficult. "I have spent the last few weeks reviewing the situation," he continued, "and I realized that perhaps the severance package was not as generous as it could have been, so I have asked my attorney to draw up a revised offer." The lawyer in the corner stepped forward, placed a document in front of me. I did not touch it. $50,000, my dad said, plus a letter of recommendation for any position you pursue. I think that is more than fair for administrative work. Administrative work. Again. He was still saying it, still believing I would accept his version of reality. Tyler was watching me carefully. He had not said a word yet. My mother twisted a dish towel in her hands. Uncle Richard looked uncomfortable. "All we need is for you to sign a release," my dad continued, acknowledging that this settles all claims related to your employment. Then we can move forward as a family. He pushed a pen toward me, smiled encouragingly. I let the silence stretch. 5 seconds. 10. Long enough for my mother to shift her weight. Long enough for Tyler to glance at our father. Long enough for the lawyer to clear his throat. Then I spoke. Not loud, not angry. Quiet. Controlled. Before I respond, I have a few questions. My dad's smile tightened slightly. Of course. When exactly did you decide to sell the company? About 8 months ago. These things take time. Negotiations, due diligence. Who knew about it? He hesitated. Tyler knew. Richard knew. A few key people. But not me. Not the person who ran daily operations for 12 years. Sarah, we have been over this. The sale required discretion. We could not tell everyone. I was not everyone. I was your partner. You told me that, multiple times. You have emails where you called me your partner. His jaw tightened. Partner was a figure of speech. Was it? I reached into my bag, pulled out the folder, placed it on the table, opened to the first page. This is an email from you to a client, dated 4 years ago. It says, my partner, Sarah, will be handling your account. Do you remember writing that? His face flickered. Just for a second. I turned the page. This is a performance review. Your words, Sarah is essential to this company's success. Her contributions have been instrumental in our growth. Instrumental. Your word. Another page. This is a text message. 2 years ago. You wrote, could not do this without you. When we make it big, we will both reap the rewards. Both. Your word. Tyler leaned forward to see. My mother had stopped twisting the towel. And this, I met my dad's eyes. This is a spreadsheet of every client I acquired. 38 clients, 62% of the current client base. I have the signed contracts. My name is on them. Not yours, not Tyler's, mine. Sarah. My dad's voice had changed. The warmth was cracking. Those documents are out of context. You are cherry-picking. I have 87 emails where you promised me equity. Would you like me to read them all out loud? Or should I skip to the part where you told me I would be taken care of when the company sold? The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Uncle Richard spoke for the first time. Tom, did you actually promise her equity? I said when the time was right. You said when we make it big, I corrected. We made it big, $1.8 million. And you decided I was worth $20,000. You were an employee, my dad said sharply, not a partner. No matter what language I used casually in emails, there was never a formal partnership agreement. Because you never filed one. I have researched this. Partnership can be established through conduct, through representations made to third parties, through reliance. I relied on your promises for 12 years. I turned down other opportunities. I worked below market rate. I built your business while you traveled and Tyler partied. Tyler finally spoke. That is not fair. I turned to him. You want to talk about fair? You worked here for 6 months. I have your time card records. You averaged 12 hours a week. I averaged 60. But you are getting $1.5 million. Can you explain to me how that is fair? His face flushed. He looked at our father for help. My dad stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. Enough. This is exactly why I did not want to include you in the sale discussions. You are being emotional. You are twisting facts. Tyler has an MBA. He has strategic vision. He has nothing I did not give him. My voice stayed level. I trained him. I created the systems he is now taking credit for. I landed the clients he will now manage. I did the work. You did operational work, my dad snapped. There is a difference between executing and leading. Then show me what Tyler led. Show me one strategic initiative he created, one client relationship he built, one system he designed. Show me his contributions that justify $1.5 million. Silence. My dad's hands were trembling slightly. I watched him try to compose himself, try to find his footing. He was used to me backing down, used to me accepting, used to me being reasonable. I was done being reasonable. "You want to call me an employee?" I said quietly. "Fine, then pay me like one. Market rate for a senior operations manager in this industry is $90,000 a year. You paid me $45,000 for 12 years. That is a deficit of $540,000, plus overtime, plus bonuses I was never given, plus the equity you promised." The lawyer actually pulled out a notepad. My dad's voice went cold. "If you pursue this, you will regret it. Do you understand what you are doing? You are destroying this family. You are destroying your relationship with your brother, with me, over money, over pride." "No." I stood up, looked him directly in the eye. "I am doing what you taught me. You always said actions have consequences. You taught me that. Congratulations, Dad. I finally learned." His face went white. I gathered my folder, my bag, stood up. "You will be hearing from my attorney," I said. "Not a threat, just a fact. The meeting is Monday at 10. Victoria Chen. You can bring your lawyer." I walked toward the door. Behind me, my mother's voice. "Sarah, please." I turned, looked at all of them. My father, who could not speak, my brother, who could not meet my eyes, my uncle, who was staring at the documents on the table, my mother, who had watched this happen my whole life and said nothing. "You told me I was the responsible one," I said. "You were right. I am responsible enough to stop letting you bleed me dry." Then I walked out. The air outside was cold and sharp. I stood on the driveway and took the first full breath I had taken in hours. Behind me, I heard raised voices, arguing, accusations flying, but I did not stop. I did not turn around. My phone started buzzing before I even reached my car. Messages flooding in. I did not read them, not yet. I had waited 12 years for this moment. They could wait one night. If you finally stood up to someone who had hurt you your whole life, would you feel victorious? Or would you feel something more complicated? Tell me in the comments, because what came next surprised even me. Within 24 hours, my phone became a battlefield. Aunt Linda. "How could you do this to your own father?" My cousin Jessica. "I always knew something was wrong with how he treated you." Uncle Richard. "We need to talk. There are things you do not know." Tyler's girlfriend Melissa. "You are tearing this family apart. I hope you are happy." My mother. "Please call me. Please." I turned off my phone, sat in the silence of my apartment, ate cereal for dinner because cooking felt impossible, stared at the wall and waited for the guilt to hit. It did not come. What came instead was exhaustion, the kind that reaches bone deep. I had carried the weight of being invisible for so long that I had forgotten what it felt like to stand upright. Now I was standing, and my whole body ached from it. The mediation happened 3 weeks later. Not a trial. Victoria had been clear about that. "Trials are expensive and unpredictable," she said. "We want to settle, but we settle on your terms, not his." My dad brought 2 lawyers. Tyler sat beside him, quiet and pale. I sat across from them with Victoria and a stack of documents that had grown considerably since the family dinner. The mediator was a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and no patience for nonsense. She read through the initial filings, looked at my dad over her glasses. "Mr. Mitchell, I am going to be frank with you. Your daughter has employment records, email correspondence, and witness statements that paint a very clear picture. If this goes to court, you will lose. The only question is how much it will cost you." My dad's jaw tightened. "This is a family matter, not a legal one." "You made it a legal matter when you promised partnership equity and then excluded her from a $1.8 million sale." The mediator's voice was dry, clinical. "Your choice now is whether to settle reasonably or spend the next year in litigation that will cost you more in legal fees than the settlement itself." They negotiated for 4 hours, back and forth, offers and counteroffers. Victoria was relentless. Every time my dad tried to minimize my contributions, she pulled out another document, another email, another witness statement. I watched Tyler's face as the evidence mounted, watched him realize that maybe he had not built as much as he thought, that maybe the systems he was so proud of managing had been created by someone else, that maybe our father had lied to him too. The final settlement was reached at 6:45 in the evening, $375,000, paid over 2 years, plus a formal acknowledgement in writing that my contributions had been essential and undervalued, plus a reference letter that accurately described my role, plus an agreement that he would not disparage me to clients or industry contacts. It was not $1.5 million, but it was justice, proportional justice. My dad signed the papers without looking at me. His hand shook slightly as he wrote his name. The mediator stood. "This matter is now closed. I suggest you both take time before attempting to reconcile personally." My dad finally met my eyes. "I hope you are satisfied." "I am not satisfied," I said quietly, "but I am free." Tyler caught me in the parking lot, called my name as I was unlocking my car. I turned, waited. He looked smaller than I remembered, younger. "I did not know," he said, "about the promises he made you, about how much you actually did. He told me I had been running things from behind the scenes, that my MBA work had been integral. I believed him." "Of course you did. He told you what you wanted to hear. He is good at that." "I am sorry." His voice cracked. "I really am. I thought you were just upset about money. I did not realize it was about everything else." I studied his face, looked for the manipulation, the performance, found only genuine confusion and guilt. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I do not know. The consulting job is still happening, but I cannot. Every time I sit at that desk, I will know it should have been half yours." "It was never about the desk, Tyler. It was about being seen." He nodded, looked down. "For what it is worth, I see you now." "Yeah," I said. "Now." I got in my car. He stood there watching as I drove away. I do not know if we will rebuild anything. Maybe someday. Maybe never. But at least there was honesty between us finally. That was something. My dad tried once, 3 months after the settlement. A letter arrived, handwritten, his careful block letters on cream stationery. "Sarah, I have had time to think about what happened. I realize now that I made mistakes in how I handled the sale. I should have communicated better with you. I hope that in time, we can find a way to move forward as family. You are my daughter, and I love you. I do not want to lose you over a business transaction. Dad." I read it 3 times, looked for an actual apology, looked for acknowledgement of what he had really done. I made mistakes in how I handled the sale. Not, I exploited you. Not, I lied to you. Not, I valued your brother more than you. Mistakes in how I handled. He was still rewriting history, still making it about communication rather than character, still protecting himself from the truth. I did not respond. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. People asked if I was happy. The question did not make sense. I was not happy. I was not sad. I was something else entirely. I was free. And freedom, it turns out, comes with its own kind of grief. I mourned the father I had wanted him to be, the relationship we never had, the little girl who spent 12 years believing that if she just worked harder, sacrificed more, proved herself better, he would finally see her worth. She had deserved better than him, so I became someone who could give her that. I went to therapy, started actually talking about what had happened instead of minimizing it, learned words like parentification and golden child syndrome, and exploitation disguised as opportunity. Learned that what I had experienced was not normal, was not okay, was not my fault. Is it revenge if you are simply refusing to be destroyed anymore? Is it cruelty to let someone face the consequences of their own choices? I still do not know the answer, but I know this. I stopped waiting for him to see me. I stopped measuring my worth by his attention. I stopped believing that family means accepting abuse. And that, more than the settlement, more than the vindication, more than any of it, was the real victory. What would you choose? A relationship built on lies, or freedom built on truth? Tell me in the comments, because the hardest part was not the fight. It was learning to live with what came after. A year later, I woke up on a Tuesday to sunlight streaming through my bedroom window. I made coffee in my own kitchen, the condo I had bought with part of the settlement money, sat at my own table, read the news without checking my phone for family emergencies or manipulative text messages. It sounds small. It was everything. I got promoted at my new job, a tech company that valued my operations experience and paid me $95,000 a year, actual market rate, with benefits, with a boss who said thank you when I solved problems instead of acting like I was lucky to be there. I started painting again, something I had loved in high school but abandoned because there was always work to do, always someone else's needs to meet, always something more practical to focus on. My apartment had 3 canvases now, messy, imperfect, mine. I made friends who had never met my father, who did not know the old version of me, the one who apologized for existing, who made herself smaller to fit into spaces that were never designed for her comfort. They knew Sarah, who laughed loudly and set boundaries without guilt and said no without offering 17 explanations. I stopped looking for my worth in other people's eyes. I started building it with my own hands. My mother and I speak occasionally, carefully. She will never understand why I did what I did. She is from a generation that believed peace was more important than justice, that family loyalty meant swallowing poison and calling it medicine. But she is trying, in her way. She called on my birthday, sent a card at Christmas, did not mention my father or Tyler or the settlement, just small talk, weather, her garden, safe topics. I do not expect more from her. She made her choices. I made mine. Tyler and I are not close. Maybe we never will be. But we are honest. He texts sometimes, updates about his life. He got engaged. He is struggling with the consulting job. Turns out managing systems someone else built is harder than it looks. I congratulated him on the engagement, meant it mostly. He is not a bad person. He was just a person our father convinced that he was special, while I was convenient. He is learning now what it means to stand on his own without someone else's sacrifice propping him up. My father and I do not speak. I see updates through family members. He retired, sold the house, moved to Arizona with my mother. He tells people I am too busy with my career to visit, that we grew apart naturally, that it happens sometimes with adult children. He is still rewriting the story, still making himself the reasonable one, still refusing to see what he did. I have stopped waiting for him to understand. Some people will never apologize because admitting they were wrong would require them to face who they really are, and that mirror is too painful. I forgave myself for taking so long to leave, for believing his lies, for thinking love meant endurance. I was doing the best I could with the tools I had. Now I have better tools. I learned that family is not about whose blood runs in your veins. It is about who shows up when you are breaking, who protects you when it costs them something, who loves you even when you are not useful to them. By that definition, my father was never family at all. But Lily, who sat with me through panic attacks and mediator meetings and 3 a.m. phone calls when I was sure I had made a terrible mistake, she is family. Victoria, who fought for me when I could barely fight for myself, she is family. My new co-workers who welcomed me without needing to know my whole history, they are family. I built a family from choice instead of obligation, and it is smaller, but it is real. People ask if I have forgiven him. I do not know how to answer that. I have stopped carrying the anger. I have stopped replaying every injustice in my head until I cannot sleep. I have stopped letting his choices define my worth or dictate my happiness. If that is forgiveness, then yes. If forgiveness means pretending it did not happen, means welcoming him back without change, means accepting his version of reality over my own, then no, I will never do that. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. I can release the weight without opening the door. For years, I measured my value by how much I could give, how useful I could be, how little I could need, how much I could endure without breaking. Now I measure it differently, by how well I protect what is mine, by how clearly I speak my truth, by how fully I live without asking permission, by how many boundaries I can set without apologizing for them. I still think about that email sometimes, the one that started everything. Congratulations on the sale. The casual assumption that I already knew, that I mattered so little they did not even think to hide it from me. I wonder if my father remembers it, if he understands now what it cost him, not just the settlement money, not just the relationship with his daughter, but the chance to be someone worth respecting, the chance to build something real instead of something exploitative, the chance to be the father he pretended to be. But mostly, I do not think about him at all. And that, more than any court settlement, more than any apology he never gave, more than any vindication, is the real victory. I am free. Not because he released me, because I released myself. If you were in my place, would you have done the same? Would you have protected your peace at the cost of your family? Or would you have kept the peace and paid the price forever? There is no wrong answer, only the one you can live with. If this story touched something in you, if you have your own version of this battle, if you are still fighting it, if you won it, if you lost it, I want to hear it. Drop your story in the comments. Send this to someone who needs to hear it, someone who is still waiting to be seen by people who will never look. We are not alone in this. We never were. And if you want more stories like this, stories about people who stopped being invisible and started being undeniable, stories about justice that comes slowly but arrives anyway, stories about daughters and sons who finally chose themselves, follow this channel and turn on notifications. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Thank you for seeing me. Now go see yourself.